Greetings from the Dark Continent. Conscious Caracal here. Recently, the Institute of Race Relations released new polling data, revealing that the Economic Freedom Fighters, or the EFF, have doubled their support in the polls. After reading this report, the first thing that came to mind was my own personal theory on why we are still stuck with the EFF and why the EFF are still growing so monumentally. The South African media can take hefty credit for the EFF's meteoric rise. This was achieved through their fluff pieces about the EFF, normalization of racial hatred as long as it's directed at whites, of course, and demonization of moderates such as AfriForum as far right. The EFF are gaining support because the media convinced the country that there is a growing group of racists that want to bring back apartheid, smearing any dissenting voice as part of this movement. They manufactured, in essence, a moral panic, akin to the satanic panic and the Reds under the bed, and the EFF pounced to sell themselves as the cure. The biased, sensationalist, dishonest media of this country have done immense damage to race relations of South Africa, yet they claim they are doing the opposite. They've fueled suspicions, hate, and conspiracy theories between the races, and it's time we hold them to account. For example, on Heritage Day, the EFF again called for the removal of the stem from the South African anthem. Now, for my international audience, the South African anthem is composed out of 5 languages, and the stem is the Afrikaans part. And the EFF have called for the removal of this part, which would be a disastrous symbolic gesture, especially in the current political climate. This is just another example of media outlets like News24 eagerly making the harebrained schemes of the EFF front page news. A party with 6% of electorate support. Their motive? It's not because they necessarily support the EFF, but rather that the EFF's crazy antics and outbursts make great headlines, which get clicks and shares. Basically, nothing personal, kid. It's just business. But then, you also get to the ideological slant of the South African media. As I mentioned on my chat with Ronaldo Gous, there's no cause I can think of in South Africa that is as viciously and as passionately opposed by the South African media as the cause to bring attention to farm murders. For example, and not just the farm murder cause, also AfriForum. For example, I always say tongue-in-cheek, after Ernst Rutz's speech in Parliament, the myriad of smear pieces that appeared afterwards were already written cut and dry before he even sat down in that Parliament room. For example, look at this one by Pietertjie de Tooy. The spectacular unraveling of AfriForum, and this was the 7th of September. And the 24th of September, we get news from AfriForum that they are announcing exceptional growth in their membership numbers. Now, you might ask, why is the media becoming more toxic? Why is it becoming more clickbaity? Why is it becoming more about the headline rather than the substance of the article? And the answer is simple. It's not a South African phenomenon. Across the world, mainstream media in its current form is dying. Print media is dead. Even the 7 o'clock news or the 24-hour news cycle being broadcast on television is dying. And the only way for the media to retain their clicks, their relevancy, and their ratings is to become more sensationalist. The media know that people don't read past the headline. An excellent example that kind of serves as a double point. It shows the media's bias against the bringing awareness to farm murders cause, but also their lying sensationalist nature and how they know people don't read past the headline. In one of my previous videos a while back, I'll have a link in the description, I analyze how they interviewed one farmer and then ran with the headline, and this one farmer said that Trump can go to hell or whatever, something along those lines, and that he or she doesn't support his message when he tweeted about South Africa. And then the South African media ran with the headline that South African farmers tell Trump to go to hell. Now, I thoroughly covered this in my video in the description below. You can go check it out for yourself. Also, media personalities like Adriaan Basson and Pieter du Toit push conspiracy theories. Here are some examples. Recently, Adriaan Basson has propagated these conspiracy theories. 1. South African Twitter has been taken over by a cabal of alt-righters. Secondly, AfriForum created the My Way scandal to benefit their business partner. Thirdly, users with Stop Farm Murder profile pictures are Russian bots. And finally, AfriForum's farm list is fake. This is the head of News24, and he's making these types of unsubstantiated claims. Another condemning story about the South African media is when Ronaldo Gous had BLF's Lindsay Marsdorp on his show, and Lindsay said this.
Is there any black individuals that you would not support that commits a crime? If a black individual is found guilty by a court of law, would you still support that individual irrespective of what the sentence was or what they did?
Is there any black person that we won't defend? There is no black person in this country that we won't defend when they come into a fight with white people. In fact, we make the statement. If you're walking down the road and you see a white person murdering a black person, your duty is to murder that white person and ask questions later.
If a black person rapes a white person, and would you go and defend them at court?
You know Ananias Mathe, you know that person, the Mozambican brother who was robbing all over the suburbs, white people's homes, and was raping white women. That's a reality. He died, I think, last year or the year before in January. Two years, I think now. That's a reality. Me, I stand with Ananias Mathe. White people.
So you literally stand with the rapist?
No. I didn't say that. Please don't misquote me.
He was a rapist. You acknowledged he was.
I stand with Ananias Mathe against white land thieves who are raped and pillaged our society. I stand with Ananias Mathe against white rapists who pillaged and continue to steal from our country. I stand with every black person against white people unequivocally. I oppose rape completely, but I stand with every black person against white people.
But you can't do that, though. You can't stand against rape, but then support somebody that rapes a woman just because the skin color of that woman doesn't correspond to what your beliefs are.
Afterwards, Ronaldo tweeted out this clip and sent it and tagged all the major South African media outlets, and not a single one reported on it, even though they couldn't wait to report on some random oak on a beach somewhere that said some racist shit. And finally, here's some hard-hitting investigative journalism by The Citizen. Barry Roo account compares AfriForum to Ku Klux Klan, labels them turds. The outspoken and anonymous Twitter account made its views on the organization clear by Daniel Friedman. Now, sorry, if this is the standard of South African journalism, shut it all down. Guys, it's done. You've had a good run, but if this is what you've been reduced to, reporting on anonymous Twitter accounts talking shit about AfriForum just because you despise AfriForum and everything they stand for, just a testament to what the South African media has become. And also why people like me, Willem Petzer, the Renegade Report, are replacing you. So my final message to the South African media is, don't worry lads, I will definitely go show my children the museum exhibit that will be dedicated to you in the future. This has been The Conscious Caracal. Cheers guys, have a good one.
It's propaganda. Sell it to the innocent. Oh yeah, they're buying it. Just sell them to rebel again. It's propaganda. Sell it to the innocent. Fuck yeah, they're buying it. Just sell them to rebel again.